Hey everyone, this is James from TDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today I am going to be talking about what we do not have access to in the Western market, and drinking some aged oolong, which is, in my opinion, a good example of something that we don't really have very good access to at all in the Western market. Obviously, we do have access to a lot of different teas, but just not everything. So aged oolongs is a good example of something that you can find somewhat easily in Taiwan if you know where to look and where to ask. A lot of places will stock them, and you can usually get them for kind of varying prices. There are a lot of different traps, as there are for a lot of different teas, depending on what you're looking for. Different profiles. There are some that are too roasty, some that are too sour, and other ones that are just right. So wanted to first shout out my buddy Hanji, who has started a Substack. So check that out. We always need more people writing and talking about tea. Really interesting stuff. He speaks Mandarin. He knows tea. He's been into tea for quite a while. Not quite as long as TDB is running, but I've known him since 2017, 2018, that kind of range. So yeah, he definitely started the blog, and I definitely, if you're interested in oolongs or pu'ers, definitely focused on kind of those two categories of tea. But when he was in Taiwan, I actually asked him to pick me up some stuff, which he was kindly willing to do. Picked up some Baozhong for me, and this Baozhong, I think, in my opinion, is pretty decent. It's supposedly about 30 years old. Definitely has some age taste going on. And it only costs between 16 and 17 cents a gram. So really, really inexpensive. It's a good example of how if you're focused on certain sorts of aged teas, doesn't necessarily need to bust the bank or anything like that. This is definitely cheaper than probably most of the pu'er that I'm drinking regularly. And, it tastes right. So yeah, let's get into a bit of the tea. A couple other categories that, have been historically harder to find. Traditionally stored pu'er. If you can ship from Hong Kong to the U.S. soon, that hopefully would come back from a place like Yi'an. But when I was first starting, it was very hard to find traditionally stored raw, traditionally stored ripe. Let's see what else is there. Proper Lu Bao's, usually has kind of helped to sell some older ones, but that has kind of fluctuated in terms of availability from a place like Essence as well. And then Yancha, it's just so rare that it is kind of difficult to find. I suspect it's not totally different in the Eastern market in that sense too. So yeah, there's a lot of different teas, and those different the solution to those different teas is kind of going to vary. So it's like aged oolongs, it's easier to find in Taiwan than if you go to, I don't know, like Beijing or something like that. You might have a much harder time finding aged oolongs there. Okay, so yeah, let's get into this tea. Alright, so I gave this tea a quick rinse, and let's get going on to it. Baozhongs are definitely one type of tea that you will run into as far as like something that has some age. You could definitely run into some kind of Nantou area Dongting stuff that tends to be a little pricier and perhaps a little bit rarer than these teas, although I suspect it depends on where you're looking. Baozhong is definitely one where you can find it. Teguanyin is another one. You can find mainland Teguanyin as well as Mujian Teguanyin. And you can tell just right off the bat that this smells old. Old books, old leather. Kind of has this slightly overripe cherry nose to this too. And I will say that these teas, unfortunately, are very space inefficient. They are very fluffy, take up a lot of room. So the 300 gram bag that I got was very voluminous, to put it mildly. And you know what? I'm just going to do a second steep here, just so we can let that cool down a bit. And one nice thing about aged oolongs is they tend to be mellow. You'll lose some amount of intensity, so you can really push them, and I've heard other people say abuse them in a way, just kind of pushing them. You could do grandpa style. They're kind of notoriously good for that. The Marshall and blog has talked a lot about those things. So, in fact, Marshall and's blog is a great place in general to learn about aged oolongs, even if it's hard to find them and try. For me, at least, when I went to Taiwan and I wanted to buy aged oolongs, I kind of read it front to back as far as like his aged oolong content goes, because I think it's interesting stuff. Just first of all, even if you can't try the tea, but it's extremely informative if you can kind of get some reference points and try the different teas that are available. Cheers. This is just comfortable for me. It's like old leather, some earth, but it's overall quite a bit brighter than you would think of as kind of like the proper older pu'er taste, because so many of those are traditionally stored too. It's like dark leather, maybe a hint of plum or cherry, something along those veins. This is not the plummiest of aged oolong. Some you can definitely find some that are richer in kind of that fruit flavor. Kind of hits the mid palate and goes down real smooth. Has a nice thickness to it too. Yeah, I have been drinking a lot of tea today as I've been filling multiple in-between-isodes. So this is the sort of tea that's nice to kind of cap everything. Just something nice, old, and mellow. I'm not looking for necessarily a ton of different complexity or anything like that. Just something that, goes down easy and tastes good. Cheers. Yeah, very similar to Steep 1, maybe a little bit of kind of vanilla creeping in as well, but definitely prominently leather and kind of cherries, something like that. Not terribly, dynamic or interesting taste-wise in that sense, but it's very easy to drink. There's a lot of sweetness there compared to pu'er. And of course, something like this, it just like immediately fills the gaiwan because the leaves are already, they're just twisted rather than balled up like a average dongding might be. So you're going to just get extraction pretty quickly. So in that sense, it's quite easy to brew, very forgiving to brew in general as well. So yeah, just very happy to have 300 grams of this to play around with. So yeah, thank you Hanji for picking this up. Go check out his blog please as well. And yeah, I'm going to just keep sipping this and enjoying it. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see y'all next time. Cheers.